Welcome to Coming Out of the Dark podcast, a podcast like none other, where women are empowered, encouraged, and uplifted to be the best version of themselves. Get ready to come from darkness into light with a passion to fulfill purpose. Here is your host, Miss Lady O.
Welcome back to the Coming Out of the Dark podcast, where women are empowered, encouraged, and uplifted. This is also the space where faith meets leadership, purpose meets healing, and every story reminds us that growth begins in the quiet. I am your host, Miss Lady O, and today we begin a brand new series entitled A Seat at the Table. So let's dive in. Let's talk about the invitation, knowing that you belong. Sometimes the hardest part isn't getting the invite. It's believing you're worthy to show up. Before we ever walk into a boardroom, a relationship, or a ministry meeting, God invites us inward to the table of self-worth. That's the real invitation. The invitation to see yourself the way heaven already does, capable, chosen, and called. Worthiness isn't handed to us by people. It's established by purpose. There was a time when I looked around certain rooms and thought, maybe this table is too big for me. But the table was never too big. My belief was just too small. The same God who prepared the table prepared me to sit at it. There was a season in my life when I would walk into certain rooms and immediately start scanning for proof. The proof that I belong there. I'll sit quietly, over-preparing my words, trying to make sure I didn't take up too much space. Because somewhere along the way, I had equated humility with hiding. I remember one particular meeting very early in my career. Everyone at the table had advanced degrees, long resumes, and polished titles. I had experience and I had calling. But I questioned if that was enough. I told myself, Olympia, just stay small. Don't draw attention. But what I've learned since then is that God never calls us to shrink in spaces He Himself has assigned. That moment wasn't meant to intimidate me. It was meant to initiate me. I realized the table wasn't too big. My belief was too limited. So when I shifted my mindset from, do I belong? To, I was chosen to contribute. That is when everything changed. My posture changed. My tone changed. My presence changed. And I began to understand that the same God who opened the door also equipped me for the conversation. So now, when I walk into new rooms, I don't rehearse how to fit in. I remind myself that I am the answer to a need in that space. And if God prepared the table, He surely prepared me to sit at it. But let's be honest. The sense of belonging, it doesn't only sit with the table at a boardroom. You see, I've learned that belonging shows up even in friendships. As I evolve, my friendships have evolved too. It isn't about leaving anyone behind. It's about recognizing that I can honor where I've come from while still growing toward where I'm going. Sometimes people want you to pick sides between the old you and the growing you. But growth isn't betrayal. Growth, it's obedience. You see, the invitation isn't about access. It's about alignment. Hidden seasons teach us stillness. It teaches us wisdom and how to enter rooms without losing authenticity. If you rush to the table unprepared, you'll mistake performance for purpose. But when character is refined, confidence grows quietly. That's why I always say, belonging doesn't require permission. Sometimes we doubt our seat, not because we lack confidence, but because of who's sitting around us. We've surrounded ourselves with leaders who were never meant to mentor us, only to measure us. Gatekeepers, mindful managers, those who suppress potential under the disguise of keeping order. They speak fear instead of faith, critique instead of clarity. They question your qualifications because your confidence reminds them of their own complacency. And when that happens long enough, you start to internalize their limitations as your truth. But when God elevates you, He expands your discernment. You start to recognize the difference between leaders who cultivate and leaders who control, between colleagues who collaborate and colleagues who compete. And that same awareness shows up in your personal life too. Sometimes it's not just the wrong professional table, it's the wrong social one. Friends who can't celebrate your growth without comparing it to their own. People who mistake your peace for pride, your boundaries for distance, your elevation for arrogance. Those are the tables that drain your spirit. The ones that make you question if shining too bright will cost you connection. But God didn't call you to dim. He called you to discern. You don't compete. You consecrate. You don't shrink. You stand. And here's the revelation. We're not even sitting at the same table. While they fight for control, you're cultivating purpose. While they manage appearances, you're mastering authenticity. And that's when you know it's time to shift tables. Now, all that I'm talking about, I live this. And I know that others have too. Now, let's say we live this, okay? We lived it from a professional standpoint and a personal standpoint. I've served under leaders who weaponized their titles, who mistook my confidence for competition, and who thought silencing me would make me smaller. I've also sat at personal tables where the conversation shifted the moment my purpose started to speak louder than my pain. You see, people felt comfortable as long as I stayed in my pain. But every time they tried to close a door, God prepared another table. One where I didn't have to shrink to be seen. Now, I don't fight. I don't fight for proximity. I choose peace. I don't chase for validation. I guard my value, and you should too. Because what I bring to the table isn't meant to be compared. It's meant to be cultivated. Different assignment, different grace, different table. And that's what we should see in each other. So if you get nothing else from this conversation that you and I are having today, is that there are various tables in life. A seat at the table isn't just corporate, it's personal too. There's the table of marriage. The question is, are you showing up whole? There's the table of friendship. Ask yourself, are you surrounded by those who celebrate your growth? That's a real question. Sometimes you can't get to where you want to be. It's because it's the circle around you. This podcast is called Coming Out of the Dark. And it's not called that for nothing. Sometimes darkness is around you, and you have to see the light within yourself and give yourself permission to be able to shine, to soar. And I want to tell you, I get it. I get it that you become comfortable with what you know. See, no one wants to get uncomfortable. We want to stay comfortable, right? We want to wake up and go to that same job that we know the routine to, but we're not applying our best. We want to show up the same way every single day in our relationships, whether it's a marriage, whether you're dating, whether it's friendships. You know who you are. They know what they're going to get, and you're comfortable with that. No one rocked the boat. But let's ask the question. If you don't challenge yourself, where are you going? To the same job? Stay in the same relationship? No excitement, no enthusiasm, not experimenting. You're just staying still. Come on, let's think about that. Then there's the table of faith. Are you still showing up when you feel unqualified? That's a good question. I think so. It's okay to talk about faith until you're tested on it. You see, when you're tested is when things are not going as you expect them to. Do you still show up? Do you still say, God, I trust you? Do you still say, God, I believe you gave me this calling? Do you still say all those things? That's the question I want you to think about. Then there's the table of purpose. Are you saying yes, even when no one is clapping? Now, I have a whole story on that one. See, when there was a time when no one was clapping, but my purpose has always been what it is, never deviated from it. But I've been in rooms where no one was clapping. But what that did, it prepared me. It prepared me to walk in rooms and to be myself. Because I'm not looking for anyone to accept me. I have to know who I am. And the same thing for you. You have to know who you are. Think about it. Every table requires inner preparation before external participation. When God invites you to sit, trust me, He's not checking your resume. What He's looking for is your readiness. So, if you've been questioning whether you belong, hear this clearly. You do. You belong at the table God is preparing. That table that He's preparing in your career, in your calling, in your community, and in your relationships. You are not an imposter. You are evidence of divine intention. So your invitation today is internal. So, rise up. Rise in worthiness. Believe in your voice. Remember that every table, from the boardroom to the kitchen, is an opportunity to reflect your light. So as I wrap up, you know I have to have a call to action. I can't just leave you. Will you do something for me this week? Journal this week on one question. And that question is, where have I been waiting for permission to belong? Once you answer that question, I want you to declare this affirmation. Are you ready? Grab your pen, grab your paper. You're ready. Come on. Write it down. I am worthy of every table God calls me to, not because of perfection, but because of purpose. You got it? I'm going to say it one more time. I want you to fill in your name. I am worthy of every table God calls me to, not because of perfection, but because of purpose. I hope that this episode has really encouraged you. I hope that my personal reflections has helped inspire you to let you know that you're not alone. We're in this together. God has a calling on my life, and I am committed to fulfill that in everything that I do. I am equipped to empower, encourage, and uplift. And whatever table I am doing that from, I promise to fulfill that call. So, until next time, I want to remind you that belonging, it starts with you. And I also want to share with you that I'm not giving up on this topic. It goes so deep, it can't just be covered in 1 month. So, next month, join me for part 2, the seat, occupying with confidence. I'm going to let that sit with you for a little bit. I hope that you tune in. So until then, keep walking in light. Keep walking in purpose. And know that your table is already prepared for you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please subscribe to this podcast and like, share, and follow on Facebook and Instagram. Until next time, be well, be safe, and be kind to yourself.